think I had a lot of mic time thus far, Jay Prince. You sound like a very, very scared man. Like you sound very disheveled in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, you know, for you to even say fathers don't matter is wild because you're operating in the father capacity now. But it makes sense because you just said you was raised around women, and you're not even facilitating your role as a man because you're offsetting your responsibilities for other women. That makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Everything you said over the years, I get it. You've never really arrived at man.
Raised by a strict father, age 6. You spilled juice on the table. Instead of laughing it off, your father makes you clean everything yourself. Rules appear early. Toys must be organized, bedtime is exact, and excuses don't work. Age 12. While other kids play video games all evening, you're doing chores or studying. If you break a rule, there are consequences. Slowly, you stop arguing and start following orders automatically. Age 16. Your father pushes you into sports, work, and responsibility. Sometimes it feels unfair. You watch your friends living freely while your life feels controlled. Age 20. Something changes. You are tougher than most people around you, but you might also become colder, more serious, and sometimes even angry at the world. Age 25. At work, something happens. Everyone else panics when a serious problem appears. People argue, blame each other, and don't know what to do. But you stay calm, organize the situation, and solve it step by step.
That was my household. That was my household. So to a certain extent, there was a lot of structure. Definitely two parents, but I had a lot of structure. One of no games being played like that. I literally didn't come outside to the neighborhood until I was 14. I want to point out that the video, it taught docility though, and like a lack of identity as that kid was growing through those final stages, even though at the end, it seemed like in the workplace, he was able to solve problems and was a great multitasker and the go-to person. But that's a professional world. Like, we didn't talk about his emotional state. We saw his mental state. He was a little violent. But he may be somebody that is emotionally detached and so logical because that's where he gets his approval from. So, I mean, I saw some great things in that video, but overall, I just saw a child who didn't get a chance to experience life. And now they're like an overworker. Like that, I guess they're that A-type, that anal retentive or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'll land.
I think the balance was off. This was colonization. Yeah, strict parenting is cool, but all these principles, all these values, there's supposed to be there's supposed to be a why. There's supposed to be something for. So if it's too strict and there's no enjoyment, there's no life, there's no grace, there's no joy, then you create a sociopath. And that's what you were starting to see in that picture. Yeah, we get it. Because I don't like when people talk in extremes when they talk about parenting. Either beat and colonize your kids half to death, shame, neglect, and abuse, which don't work no way. One extreme on the left, or if you're not doing that, then you don't do anything at all. There's supposed to be a level of balance. This was too extreme on the left.
I 100% agree, Scam. That's why I say that I don't think we should have fathers, because fathers are usually going to be overly logical and they're going to use their ego. So if a father tell you not to do something, you wouldn't do it anyway, he going to take it personal. I'm talking about your mama take it personal, but your mama not got that forgiving. She got that understanding. This is why they usually use women for disciplinary, because she has this understanding and woo out the bed where the father say, do what I say. You break them rules, I'm breaking your ass and stuff like that. He just either this or that. And this is why fathers don't need to be 100%, because I had to check myself. So I allow my sisters and them to handle my daughters, even though I'm raising them. But my sisters and them, that's why I'm glad I got 9 sisters and shitload of female cousins and stuff. So I let my sisters and them handle that, because when my daughters and them do something wrong, I get extremely mad, like they trying to, you must think I'm a bitch or something. I'll start talking like that. And these are some little girls though. And and so I like, man, let me I call my sister and them, hey, they doing this, woo out the bam. You handle that. Woo out the bam. So my system, they take charge of that.
I think I had a lot of mic time thus far, Jay Prince. You sound like a very, very scared man. Like you sound very disheveled in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, you, for you to even say fathers don't matter is wild because you're operating in the father capacity now. But it makes sense because you just said you was raised around women and you're not even facilitating your role as a man because you're offsetting your responsibilities for other women. That makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Everything you said over the years, I get it. You've never really arrived at manhood thus far. It makes perfect sense. So I see why
What true tape, but when you break down the psychology from me, when we break down manhood from my perspective, your perspective.
Jay Prince, I had a question for you, man. So I know what you're saying when you're referring to polarity, and I do think that adversity builds character for sure, right? I could give an example. I'm not going to go, you know, too long about it, but I've had a lot of things that I've learned from some experiences that would have likely broken people and been in situations that none of you would imagine that I've been in and face certain things that you would never believe, right? But you learn from that, and I think that and White he kind of got to that point a little bit where he was saying that it's more of channeling that energy. Once you learn how to get out of that adversity, you start to understand. You build a muscle memory as to how to progress in life, so where you don't always need that polarity in a sense, right? So right now I could be fueled by love and hate. I'm a hybrid. But do I need hate all the time? No. I could be just fueled by love. I could be self-motivated, right? It's almost like that time where you might be pent up with anger. You could channel that energy into whooping some ass, right? Which is what we do in the beginning phases, but you could take your ass to the gym too. And then you've done something positive for your body, right? And you ain't hurt nobody. So I think that the lesson is to take that muscle memory, because once you've learned how to progress, you've learned how to move, you learn how to get motivated, you get the muscle memory that should allow you to be able to duplicate that to where you don't have to channel that negative energy all the time, if that makes any sense to
Yeah.
you.
So in so many words, I always tell people, I'm not trying to be a good guy and I'm not trying to be a bad guy. I'm trying to maintain being myself, and that comes with both of them. And I need and appreciate the good and the bad of myself. That's who I am. Even like for an example, you brought up fighting. I don't go into fight. Yeah, I love winning, but I also value losing too. I don't want to win all my fights. I want to experience the losses so I can. It's like you gain more for losing. For one, you aware of how getting hit is really feel, how losing a fight really feel, and actually getting into the fight how I really feel. You gain that experience. Like I really think I could probably beat up Floyd. That man never been beat up. His pride never got taken away from him. He probably never had a girlfriend that broke his heart before, right? So
JP, you know you can't be fooled.
if you never got your heart broken from a female, you ain't no player. You ain't no player till you get your heart broke. You ain't no killer till you get shot at or shot. You ain't no monster until you take them L's. Those L's gonna create the monster. If you didn't go through
Right.
nothing, you're gonna be kind of soft. When I
So
talk, when I listen to these
I believe that,
guys,
Jay Prince.
I
But
love
here's the
trauma.
problem with that. Here's the problem with that. Do you continuously have to get your ass whooped like a lot every so often just to realize what a loss feel like, just to understand what a punch feels like and what blood tastes like in your mouth? Do you need to continue to
Sometimes,
experience that,
sometimes
or
losing is
did
not always
that
losing.
one ass whooping teach you a hard lesson? You know what I'm saying? Like most of us don't have to
Sometimes
get
losing
kicked.
is not. so- No, I was saying sometimes losing is not really losing. It's actually a win. You because it's the way how you view losing, right? Yeah, you might lost, but one, a lot of people don't have courage to stand up to get in that arena, which you did. One. Secondly, a lot of people not experiencing life. I love to lose. Like when I got beat up from the Chicago Cats, it made me feel like I was alive. Before that fight, I hadn't been in no fight in a few years. And I was walking around here depressed, feeling like I had to pinch myself to see I was alive. But when I got into it, I appreciate them Chicago niggas. We cool even to this day. And we get into it damn near all the time though. They makes me feel alive.